dum. Bum 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 ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-da-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-ba-dum. Hello, my friends. Excuse me, let me take a sip of water. Good evening. Good evening to you all. It's wonderful to see you all here. My name is Joette Calabrese, and every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we do the same thing, don't we? We meet, I teach you what I know in homeopathy, and you share information as well. I love to see what you've got to say. And, and for those of you who do know me, good evening, friends. Great to see you all. Oh, here we go. Hello from San Juan Capistrano. And hi from San Francisco and Michigan and Sharon Springs, New York. And it's wonderful to see you all, my friends from Mighties and Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest. I mean, we've got everything. It's really great. Mostly what I'm reading, though, are my Mighties. Ajax, Ontario. Hi, Rona. Yeah, Mexico City. Hi, Lisa. Or is it Lissa? Very pretty name. Very nice to see you all. Okay, we've got a subject tonight that was dear to my heart when I had Buster, and before that I had Dolly, and before that I had Obo. And they were all poodles of sorts. Buster was a Bichon poodle. His mother, Dolly, was a pure poodle. I don't know how pure. I mean, she was... I don't know. We got her when she was 3 years old, so I don't know much about her lineage. And Obo was a poodle, but I have no idea. I just found him actually running through the streets. and I named him as my own when I couldn't find the owner. So at any rate, I've had poodles. And they are, like any other dog, prone to fleas. So that's what we're going to talk about. First, I want to tell you that I wrote something back in, it was August 2017, called Fleas, a Homeopathic Solution. And the method that I discuss is quite a very good method to get rid of fleas. And so I put it up, I posted it. I gave actually 3 medicines. One of them was Sorinum, spelled with a silent P, like pneumonia, you don't pronounce the P. Sorinum is P-S-O-R-I-N-U-M, Sorinum. You can look up the blog and read up on it yourself. Sorinum 30 once a day. But I also talked about using Ledum 200. And what was the other one I talked about? It was Ledum 200 and, and Antimonium crude, of course, for itching. Antimonium crudum. Then that was a 6. So we either use Sorinum 30 once a day when fleas are found on what? A dog only? No. Poodles only? No. Could be a goat, cat, any kind of dog. Sorinum once a day is an excellent medicine. Now, I want to tell you that when I choose a medicine for a particular condition, it's not 100%. Nothing is 100%, my friends. I will give you the medicine that I believe are the most valuable, the most commonly used, that are the most successful. And so, thank you. Yeah, this is the blog about the fleas. Thank you. Probably Natalie is with me tonight, or Serena. So they're placing it up there so you can see it. And so Sorinum is a very good medicine, especially for very, very itchy skin. Now, we're not treating just the skin, because as you might know, if you know homeopathy, we're treating more than one condition. We're treating to uproot the condition, to make the fleas I don't know any other way of saying it, they're deterred. Even though they're on the animal, they're deterred. It's the same thing with gastrointestinal parasites. And it's not that we're actually killing the parasites, we're actually making it so that it's inhospitable for them to be there. So Sorinum is a very good remedy for that. And Ledum is a great medicine for any time someone is bitten by an insect. Stung, bitten, poked, etc. Antimonium crude is specific for intense itching, not unlike Serenum. Now, this is what I've done because people commented on that blog, and I went back to it. I have lots of people who said, yeah, thank you. My cats, this is from, let's see if I've got her. I've got her name. I'm sorry, I eliminated the name. Excuse me. Thank you. My cats, thank you. I simply put Serenum in their water dish and all fleas and ear mites have vanished. Even my vet couldn't find a trace of a living bug. Thank you. Then another person, Nicolina, said, I have been giving my cat the Serenum 30 for about 5 days and he is not itching anymore. The fleas were gone already, but he kept on licking himself and pulling out hair. I saw results after 2 days, and by today he hasn't scratched or licked himself yet, so I think it's gone. I will discontinue using it now. Awesome product and results. Thank you very much. Then Danica says, and these were a while ago. This one was 2020. They were all 2020. Danica says in October 2020, I just want to give a little update and say a big thank you. I tried both options, and the Serenum 30 was what finally worked wonders. Both options mean she probably used Leadum 200 as well as the antimonium crude. My cats were infested, and I'm now only battling the last couple of fleas. This is my first experience with homeopathy, so I'm very grateful I found you, Joette. Many thanks. Now, those are the testimonies for what I taught on that blog a few years ago. However, there are also those who said, it didn't help at all. I tried it, it didn't work. Now, let me tell you what I did, and what I did originally as well. I went to my repertory. This is Robin Murphy's repertory, 4th edition, and I went to the clinical section, and that's on, if you happen to have this repertory, 4th edition, is 2104, page 2104, at the top of the page, under clinicals, under clinical generals, excuse me, it says fleas. What are the remedies for fleas? And we have Baptisia. I'm going to look up here because I have it written more largely. Baptisia, Caladium, Calcarb, Grindella, which is specifically for bites and itching, Leadum, which I'd already discussed, and Pulex irritans, which is made from the common flea, and Staphylococcus aureus. Serenum isn't even mentioned, my friends. Leadum is, antimonium crude is not mentioned as well. Now, the reason that I use antimonium crude, when I mentioned it last time, that is specific for itching, whether it's a bite, an itch from a bite, or an itch from a rash, or just an itch without even knowing what it is. It could be even poison ivy. So antimonium crude was added for that reason. But I want to tell you that so as I said, Serenum is not even listed in the repertory. No problemo, my friends. We don't expect the repertory to give us absolutely exacting everything. The repertory is a pathway. It's a general idea of some very good remedy choices based on the last 220 years worth of homeopathic information. So it's an excellent way to get started and to consider. It's not an absolute, but it's a good start. So now let's say these people are complaining that the remedies didn't act from what I had suggested last time. Let me tell you that I've also want to mention this before we go into the next choice of medicines that I would like to consider here. Okay. Swain Michelle says, this was on my blog back in August 1, 23, she said, I tried the Serenum 30 once daily. My dog still had fleas. Had her on it for about 3 weeks. There does seem to be less fleas than I have seen on her before, but definitely not a remedy I'll be using. I have a giant schnauzer switching over to the other Joette's other recommendation. So what I would say to this person, to Michelle, is that if the remedy is acting but it's not completing, I wouldn't give up. 3 weeks is generally not enough. Sometimes we have to go 2 months. Now, I'm not saying we're not going to see some advantage before the 2 months is up. But if the itching is horrible, then we use the Serenum 30 once a day to get rid of the fleas and some of the itching. And meanwhile, while we're doing that concurrently, we might be using antimonium crude 6, for example, or Ledum 200 twice daily. See where I'm going with this? So a lot of times people give up on homeopathy before it has a chance to really fully act, or they believe that it's only one medicine and that's the only one and that's the only thing that will work, and so they don't go to a second or a secondary or a tertiary remedy. Then I wrote back and I said to her, I find that it takes as long as a month or 2 to get the eggs as well. Meanwhile, Buster recommends puffing all over with edible diatomaceous earth each time he goes outside, as well as some in his food for an extreme infestation. This more often needs to be done. And so that's what I'm also going to add here. If the infestation is horrendous, while the medicines are acting, and you will know whether or not they're acting, just like Michelle said, she knows they're acting, it's acting, it's just not fast enough. So sometimes we just have to be patient and use other means. And I did use food-grade diatomaceous earth. Now, I'm also going to tell you, I recognize that diatomaceous earth is a lung irritant. So I'll tell you some other things that I did as well. Okay. All right, I guess I'll tell you what I did. I used, when Buster was young, he ran around the fields constantly. We lived in the country. We had 15 acres. He would run freely. No constraints, and he never got fleas. And I think it's because he was healthy and young. And yes, improved the diet also. Now, Buster ate raw eggs and raw milk. He started out on that as a pup because we got him. I mean, he was born in our home, and he ate great food all the time. But as he aged, he got very, very fussy, and he wouldn't eat raw chicken any longer. He would not eat raw eggs. He would not lap up raw milk. It was the strangest thing. All he wanted was kibble. And so, yeah, raw is the best. You're absolutely right. And I wish we could have insisted on it, but because he was so old. And Buster died at 18 and a half years old. So the last year, we just complied with his desires. We obliged him. So in that last year is when Buster started to get fleas. So at that time when we lived, his last year we were in Florida and we had a small patio. And my husband would walk regularly with Buster all around the area. And every time he walked with Buster, indeed, he would get fleas. So we decided instead to go ahead and just use diatomaceous earth all in the patio and some essential oils and allow him only to go on the patio. And that took care of at least that last 6 months, 8 months of his life. Now, some people are saying grated organic orange peel, grate it all over the floor and leave overnight before vacuuming. It worked for me. Excellent. We have to do a lot of vacuuming. We vacuumed and washed his bed daily. Yes, my friends, daily. When he had fleas. So, all righty, let's just see. Is it okay to use Serenum 200? No, I would not if you're going to do it daily. I would use only a 30. And let's see, replying, let's see what else we've got here. Other questions. Don't know if you addressed, but what do you recommend as a preventative? So, the preventative is raw food. I really do believe that. An occasional dose of Serenum 30, for example, maybe once a week when the infestation is high or when the dog has been or cat is very, very likely to get fleas where they're roaming, then maybe once a week for a few weeks. Not too long, my friends, not too long. You don't want to use medicines. If we use these homeopathic medicines preventatively, it can cause trouble because we don't perhaps even need the medicine and then we're going to cause a proving. It's not horrible, but it's not the way you want to go. Generally speaking, you want to be more judicious about your choices. All righty. Let's see. What else do we have here? Okay, what about Cinna? Cinna is for intestinal parasites. And indeed, fleas can cause intestinal aspects of the disease, can cause an intestinal problem as well. I have never used Cinna for fleas, but I'll give you my suggestion next. Can you use Serenum as a spray? Yes, you could. I think you could use it you certainly could use it as a spray. Okay, so what is my suggestion? My suggestion now is if Serenum 30 once a day, as well as perhaps Ledum 200 and Antimonium Crude 6 twice daily, does not act. And I don't think you should use all three simultaneously. I would start with just Serenum 30. But if you've used it and it's not acted, and I mean you've given it a good solid couple months, at least 2-3 months, my friends, if that doesn't act, and the Ledum and Antimonium Crude are not acting, my next choice is to go with Pulex, Pulex. That's the one I told you just a little while ago, Pulex irritans. It's the common flea, and it's made into a homeopathic medicine. Now, you're not going to find that, I don't think, very readily. I looked it up online. I didn't see it. But what I do see is a company, and I believe you can get this either from OHM Pharma if you happen to be a client or a student of mine. You could probably get it from Helios in Great Britain. And another one is Owen Homeopathic, O-W-E-N Homeopathic. And I actually purchased that towards the end of Buster's life, and it did make a big difference. And I bought it in a 12C. And I gave it to him, well, I put it in his water, so he was getting it about 2 to 3 times a day once there was an infestation. Can any of these medicines be used, as you said earlier, as you asked earlier, as a prophylactic? That is one that, again, if the animal is coming into proximity to mosquito or fleas, and they're in the house, or the other dog has it, and you're worried about this, then by all means I would use it as a prophylactic. And then in that case, I might use it twice a day for several days, and make sure you stop after really a short amount of time. You want to just give it a little boost and then back off. In a short amount of time, if the dog or cat does not have fleas, then I wouldn't administer it for any longer than a couple of weeks tops. All right, let's see what else we've got here. Pulex. I think someone's going to spell it, but it's P-U-L-X, I think. P-U-L-E-X or P-U-L-X. I write P-U-L-X. Irritans is the second word. I-R-R-I-T-A-N-S. Pulex irritans. Assuming okay, don't give heartworm. My pup was hit by a mosquito or bit by a mosquito. Do you recommend a heartworm treatment? I like the same idea for heartworm. For heartworm conditions. I like using the nosode. That's what Pulex is. It's the actual nosode. All right. I use Fur Life Collar now and Wondercide with a cocktail of vinegar and garlic. Janine, I also use Wondercide. W-O-N-D-E-R-C-I-D-E. We used that not directly on Buster because he got so sensitive as he was aging that I just sprayed it outside. After the rain, I would spray it all around the patio where he would go every day. All righty, what else do we have here? Ticks are a little different. Ticks are, I've already talked about ticks in other blogs, just Joette Calabrese ticks. Let's see, hi from Colorado. Hi from Idaho. Yes, you can use the spray. Love the grated orange peel. Grate it all over the floor and leave overnight before vacuuming. And we do have to, listen, we do have to do more than just use a medicine. We really do have to, if the infestation is serious enough. Will the medicine work in spite of these extra efforts? I believe that it will. But if you've got a problem that is so severe that the dog or cat is scratching themselves to the point that they're eating away at their fur and their skin is breaking out terribly, or they've got terrible bites and nibs and bleeding, etc., I wouldn't wait for the medicines to act that quickly. I would act fully. I would, as I said, wash the bedding, keep the animal in a small area so that you can keep it extra clean, vacuum every day, and wash the bedding in hot water. Or the opposite, in a deep freeze. You can also put their bedding in a deep freeze for a certain amount of time. After, I would wash it first. All right. What do you recommend raw for puppies? I think chicken is the best thing that's raw. I know everybody thinks that's so unsafe, but if your dog were allowed to hang out in the woods, what would it eat? What would it do? It would eat a bird. So I used to freeze chicken for 2 weeks, deep freeze, and give it to Buster, and he loved it. That was when he was younger. Let's see. OHM sells 7, 12X, 12C, and 30C. Thank you very much, Carrie. Yeah, good. Ledge Mother tincture spray on the animal works too. Ledge Mother, Ledge. I don't know what that is. Yeah, Wondercide is working for us too. Well, what I like about Wondercide is you can spray it all over the area. It's a pleasant smell as long as it's not too strong. And I don't know, I've never sprayed it directly on the dog because I think it's really hard on dogs to be exposed to, and cats, exposed to something with such a strong smell on their bodies. I also have flea lights on the floor in each room. They are a sticky pad with a light that attracts the fleas at night where they stick. Non-toxic, excellent long-term prevention. Yes, you are absolutely right. I've used the same thing. I forgot about that. Many proteins you can feed raw. You need to rotate as many as can order to prevent sensitivities. Yeah, so instead of just chicken, you might get turkey or duck or, what would a dog take down in the wild? I mean, I don't know if poodles ever took anything down. I don't know. Maybe rodents, rodent meat. I don't know what else. Fish. They might eat fish. I just ordered Pulix 30C. Is that potency okay? Asks Diane. 30C is fine. I would go with a 6C or a 30C or 6X or 30X. Any one of those could be good. Yep. And you have to balance the raw diet too. Absolutely. Let's see what else we've got here. My friends, I'm going to ask you kindly to share this. It really, and like it. This is what keeps this alive and well. As you know, I have no arrangements with any organizations on this blog or my podcast or most of what I do. Rabbit, yeah, there you go. Squirrels. I don't know how you'd feed a squirrel to a dog. I mean, you'd have to catch the squirrel, I guess. I don't know. Or you'd have to just let the dog out into the woods so that it could figure out what to do. Rabbit, yeah, why not? Kangaroo. Oh, kangaroos loved here by all dogs. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you, Tara. You're in Australia. I get raw beef heart, yep, and chicken and rabbit and turkey to rotate. My kitties are very healthy. Yeah, and I really do think that is a big part of this. If we can keep them away from the and then antibiotics and steroids and give them real food, raw food, and lots of fresh air and sunshine, for the most part, everything will be just fine. My Yorkie would get raw chicken neck bones in treat lamb shank. And treat with lamb shank was so funny because he was so small and he carried it around with a lamb shank. Yeah, that would be funny. Yes, raw chicken neck bones. I would buy chicken. I often bought raw chicken wings. People say, "Oh no, you can't give a dog bones for them to chew on." Yes, you can if they're raw. It's when they're cooked that they become splintery, and then that can cause trouble. But when they are raw, just like if the dog got listen, when we had chickens, Buster killed one of them once, and I let him eat it. Once it was dead, so I just let him finish it. I didn't say, "Oh no, the bones." No, I let him just eat the chicken. I probably shouldn't have because it was giving him the idea that he could do that, but actually it never happened again. It was one chicken, and it actually happened to be it was a rooster. It was a bad rooster. So it actually was acceptable. Yes, so Pulix, my friends, so we've got these medicines now. We've got Serenum 30 once a day or Ledum 200 twice daily and Antimonium Crude 6 twice daily. Those are two separate methods. And now we also have Pulix irritans. Yes, in a 30 or a 6 if the others don't act. That's the way I would lay this out. I would not urge you to use all of them simultaneously. Why not? Because in homeopathy, we want to know which one acted. And we want to be able to really fine-tune it, because it's not about just giving a medicine and just calling it a day. It's giving a medicine and watching and observing what occurs after that. What occurs after that is really important. You want to take note of that. You want to keep a record of that, because I guarantee whatever this is that's happening, whether it's fleas for this dog or fleas for another cat or gastrointestinal problems, it's going to show up again. And you're going to need to know what you used last time and which one acted. That would be my first choice in teaching you how to use these medicines appropriately. And so, my friends, do remember that you can go to Joette's Learning Center. That's Joettes, no apostrophe, Learning Center, and scroll down and look at Gateway to Homeopathy, to join a study group with other like-minded people throughout the world, or look at the courses that I offer, and get involved. Learn how to do this. I think most of you are already there, but for those of you who are new or are thinking, oh, I don't know if I really want to do that, I can't urge you enough to join a study group, one of our Gateway to Homeopathy study groups. It's how I started in homeopathy some 37 years ago with a handful of friends. We met every Thursday night for 4 years in my living room and in others' living rooms, and it really got me started. And it was not just what I learned, it was how I learned with these friends, and we became lifelong friends. All right, let's see what else we've got. So please like and share, pass this around to your friends, make sure we get this movement going. We are part of something big here. This is big. Knowing how to use this medicine instead of depending on the drug industry for our medicines, whether it's for pets or ourselves, our children, our elderly parents. We want to break that habit. My friends, I'm old enough to remember that there was a time when people didn't even think to take medicines. They didn't even think about it. They thought about it like they did their garden. Oh, look, the tomato plant doesn't look well. Does that mean we throw a drug at it? No, maybe we didn't water it enough. Maybe it's got too much shade on it. Maybe I can look to see if there are little mites and I can take the mites off. Maybe I could prop it up a little bit and make it stand up more firmly. That's the way we used to think about health. I remember that I had aunts who thought that way, and I had my grandparents thought that way on both sides. I didn't know my second set. My first set of grandparents never went to a doctor until the very end of their lives, when they really didn't have much say about it. So I'm going to tell you, it is very important that you learn how to use these methods, this method, homeopathy, as well as nutrition, because we don't know what's ahead of us, do we? We have no idea. So we're going to bolster ourselves and each other, and I'm going to say good night now. God bless you all. I will see you next week. Have a great week. Bye, everyone.
With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family needs me, so I must know our remedies. How much to take, how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. Athusa, no dairy, it's elementary. With arnica head, arsenicum fed, spigelia slither, orms from wither, no more from my family needs of me, so I improve my memory. Not only the rems, but how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With your homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. Bella so red and arnica head, drosera bark, ignatia dark, source of frigid and cuprum to rigid, and crude itches, cali caponicum, let it melt on your gumbo, vista weed are some great ways to treat ya. La 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 la, homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies.